So what we have here are three different polynomial graphs, and you should know the first two are graphs of quadratics and the last one is a graph of a cubic function. But basically what we're trying to look at is distinguish between a maximum and minimum value. So if we look at this first graph, here, that's where we'll have our vertex. And what we notice is if we're going from left to right, we are decreasing till we get to that point, and then we are increasing. So the overall name of this is it's called a turning point, because at that particular point your graph changes. We were decreasing and now we're increasing. Now specifically this one is called a minimum, because it's a low point on your graph. So if we look at the next graph going from left to right, we are increasing up until this point, and then we are decreasing. So once again, it's a turning point. We turn from increasing to decreasing, and then we reach a point at which it changes. So in this particular graph, what we have is a maximum. So if we look at this last graph, starting from left to right, we are increasing, 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 increasing. So on this whole entire function, we're increasing. So you don't have a turning point. You don't start decreasing and then increasing, or increasing and then decreasing. But what happens is you can look at the concavity, how it changes. So you see how all of these points are kind of like under the graph a little bit, and then in this kind of like this part of the graph is like facing downwards. But then if we look at the other part of the graph, it's kind of like this part is facing upwards. So at this point you don't have a maximum or minimum. What you have here is called a point of inflection. So your inflection is this was concave down, and then the other piece of your graph is concave up, meaning it's facing upwards and this one's facing downwards. So at this point, you don't have a maximum and you don't have a minimum. You actually have a point of inflection.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.